Here is another biohacking guide: how to live longer, stay healthier and perform better in life, according to David Sinclair, which is a professor from Harvard University and is researching for over 20 years how we get older and can we actually prevent dying. This is probably one of the most important reasons why we even die. In every cell we have something which is called DNA, and I'm sure you know that. But the problem is that as we get older, as the time passes, our DNA gets more damages. And the real problem is that these damages, this mutation in your DNA, cause that you actually get older. You are more likely to get cancer or other illnesses which are connected with your age. So obviously, our bodies try to find a way how to get rid of these DNA damages. And we have in our cells special group of protein which is called sirtuins. And sirtuins are kind of biological natural mechanics which are meant to repair DNA damages so we don't get older so fast and we don't get cancer and all these illnesses which are happening together with aging at very early age. But of course, as we get older, we get more and more these DNA damages. So our sirtuins cannot work everywhere. So still, some damages cannot be repaired and they create new cell which is kind of a mutant which give only cost to your body and actually can cause many dangerous illnesses. However, to create new sirtuins, we need also something which is called NAD+, and it's a cofactor, and it's not a surprise if I tell you that levels of NAD+ get lower and lower as we get older. But good thing, science already found some ways to boost NAD+ levels even when we are already older people. So that's why one of the most important supplement which this professor takes is NMN. This substance can strictly raise your levels of NAD+, and through it engage in secretion of new sirtuins which will repair more damages in your DNA. That's not only a weak theoretical idea tested on some cells in a lab. We actually tested it on mouses and on other animals, and results were really interesting. Because for example, female mice were living even 10% longer, getting only NMN, not any extra supplements, not any change in their lifestyles. And moreover, for both sexes, scientists noticed increased health span in an older age. And because of the fact that sirtuins are really present in almost all parts of our cells, and this is a very big group of proteins, it also hits in another part of aging, which are mutations in your mitochondria. Your mitochondria also can create some mutants which can be only a burden for your body. And what's shocking, every few years of life give you even few dozens % more mitochondria which are mutants, which can cause deficits of energy and new additional mutation to handle. So the first step is to take NMN, and the doses which this professor is taking is 1 gram per day. Number 2, resveratrol. What actually is a resveratrol? This substance is found among all other things, for example, in a red wine. And we all heard that wine has some anti-aging effects, but it's not really true, of course, because ethanol is a very dangerous substance for all of us and it's causing much more damages than actually resveratrol from wine can give you. But anyway, in metabolism in our cells, we produce something which is called inflammatory elements. And these are kind of side products of normal metabolic processes, but unfortunately, they are very dangerous for our cells. Because these elements are extremely reactive and they can, through connecting with some parts of your cells, cause really great damage. So it is important to have some substance in your body also to neutralize this dangerous elements. So probably one of the very best substance for anti-inflammatory effect is a resveratrol, which prevents your cells from inflammatory effects of side products of metabolism. How much resveratrol you should actually take according to a Professor David? It's around 1 gram per day. The next thing which he takes is 1 gram of metformin. But however, let me tell you more. Metformin is a kind of substance which is meant to imitate positive effects of calories restriction or, for example, fasting. But why to take something which will imitate effects of fasting or calories deficits when you can actually try these both two things, which are much more natural and also don't have many side effects, which metformin clearly has. But what are positive effects of fasting? When we don't eat something for at least 16 hours, it means all night and half of the day, your body actually starts autophagy processes. So it means that we eat ourselves from inside. And do you think your body is stupid and it doesn't know what kind of cells exactly we need to eat to get healthier? Of course no. The first thing which our body consumes are molecules and elements which are dangerous for us and which we don't need anymore. So if you have any cells which are mutants, which doesn't work properly and can only give you illnesses and other problems, your body will try to get rid of them as soon as autophagic processes will start. Another reason why we fast as a biohackers is the fact that when we fast, actually new sirtuins are also created. Fasting is just another way to create new sirtuins, and you already know some positive effects of these elements. And what is strictly connected is the fact that sirtuins also have a huge part in getting rid of elements which our cells don't need anymore. I mean cells garbage. I personally fast for 16 hours almost every day. So after I go to sleep, I don't eat until 4 p.m. at the afternoon in the next day, and it gives me more or less 16 hours without eating, and it's enough to start autophagic processes and to experience positive effects of fast. If you think these are the only ways to get new sirtuins, not really, because actually another way to get new sirtuins for our body is cold exposition. When you are exposed to cold, by for example cold shower, ice bath or anything like this, your body actually gets an information. Oh, there might be new damages, there might be something to repair. So what your body will do, as its very precise mechanism, of course it will tell, hey, let's create new sirtuins, because he will probably need some repairs in his cells. So when we experience cold exposition, it's another cool way to get new sirtuins. And so the sport is. Practically, it's the same mechanism with a sport, because when we do sport, of course, we get micro injuries in our muscles and in other parts of our body. So our body needs to start some repairing processes. So, and what are repairing elements? Of course, sirtuins. So sport, mostly weightlifting, short-lasting intensive exercises are extremely good to increase levels of sirtuins in a long term. Another step is to stop constant sugar consumption. Because what happens with sugar and other carbohydrates which you consume? Of course, they will be digested to a form of glucose, fructose, and something like this. But the problem is that the first thing which glucose primarily do as it digested is to create inflammatory effects, and as you might know from the earlier part of this video, it causes an extra damage to all your cells. Another problem is that glucose and all other monomers of sugar cause inhibition of production of NAD+, and as you know from earlier part of this video again, NAD+ is a signaling molecule for creating sirtuins. They repair damages in your cells and the cycle is over. Unfortunately, we, people who live nowadays, consume sugar, carbohydrates all the time. There is breakfast, there is a second breakfast, there is a dinner, there is a supper, there is literally almost 7, I think, parts of the day when you eat something which contains carbohydrates. So your body basically don't get a stop, don't get a break where it can regenerate. By the way, now you can buy my book, which is based on over 50 scientific books and researches and talk about 10 main components, how to think faster, memorize faster, understand better and increase IQ level. And now you can get it for only $10. Let's go. Stop digesting and stop getting new glucose in our bloodstreams. And the last step is a supplementation. As I saw, most of you viewers of this channel live in north side of the world. So I'm in Scandinavia, UK, Poland, United States of America, and we basically don't get a sun for at least 8 months of our year. So it's not surprised that, for example, in Eastern Europe, over 90% of our society has a problems with deficits of vitamin D3. But unfortunately, this vitamin is crucial for almost all important processes in our body. We use it in our nervous system, we use it to grow healthy bones, healthy skin, to create resistance from viruses and bacteria, It prevents dementia, Alzheimer, other old people diseases. So it's so important to take mostly in winter and other parts of the year when you don't experience too much of the sun. Another important supplement is a K2 vitamin. I won't tell you all mechanisms how it works, but in the easiest word, it takes a calcium from places where it mustn't be to a place where it should be. Because for example, calcium in our kidneys can only cause kidney stones, and calcium in our bones is extremely crucial to stay healthy and don't break anything easily. Most important elements and substances for our brain you can find in my other video, but anyway, thank you very much for watching, subscribe and like because it helps me so much. Ciao ciao.